So with that, we bring in Karl Rove, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff, now a Fox News contributor, and Tim Ryan, former Democratic Ohio Congressman. Great to have both of you with us. I just want to put up on the wall, these are some of the worst who are on the list, who they hope to gather up and get off the streets during this Operation Midway Blitz. I'll just tell you some, history of aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, domestic battery, kidnapping, sexual assault, Tren de Aragua gang members, all listed here. Karl, what do you think of this effort and this push in places like Chicago and Boston and the political impact of it?
Well, look, under federal law, there's a program called 287G, which basically says the federal government can sign agreements with states and local communities to take care of some of the issues of illegal immigration. And one particular one is called jail enforcement, where literally the federal government would say, let us know when you have an illegal who's committed a crime, and we will take them off of your hands and deal with them. Move them out of the country if need be, or keep them in federal penitentiary until their time is served, and then move them out of the country. However, it's prohibited by law in California, Connecticut, Illinois, New Jersey, and Washington State for any entity inside those states to participate in the 287G program. There are 3 states where there have never been agreements between the feds and relatively small states, but in 42 states there are agreements. Now, sanctuary cities don't allow 287G agreements. Why the Democrats in these big cities don't say, look, we want to work with the federal government. If we get an illegal alien who's committed a crime, we're going to turn them over to you, and you can deal with them as you like after we have convicted them of a crime and send them to prison for that offense.
I mean, these are low-hanging fruit and politically positive, I would think, Tim Ryan, for anyone, any law-abiding citizen to want off the street. And some of these, ICE has lodged arrest detainers 12 different times on these individuals, and yet you have Mayor Brandon Johnson complaining about how much money is being spent on ICE. Watch this.
When the president of the United States of America put so much money into ICE, where the only other forces that have more resources than ICE is the United States government's army and China's army, that's a problem. That's a threat to our democracy.
First of all, his numbers are wrong there. It's $19 billion a year for this new ICE effort versus $850 billion for our defense effort. But Tim Ryan, the politics of this, are Democrats sort of, barking up the wrong tree? And will there be backlash?
Well, you have to start off with the premise that crime is bad, and we have an obligation to protect our citizens. And I think these kind of efforts need to be looked at. You can't have people with masks on, jumping out of cars, pulling people out, arresting American citizens. As long as you have those protections in place and make sure you're not scaring the hell out of everybody, you need to get rid of the bad guys. Period. End of story. There should be no compromise there.
Well, these are not American citizens. These are citizens of other countries.
Yeah, no. So I'm just saying, we've had incidents where American citizens have been arrested. We've seen people coming out with masks on. We don't need to do that. That's a bad look for America.
I hear you. I mean, we've heard so much about the Maryland man, who is not a Maryland man. He's an El Salvadoran. But go ahead.
We bad guys. Let's be clear. Bad guys got to get out. I'm going to ask a really dumb question. Why aren't we hiring more cops? We just had a huge tax cut for Elon Musk and others, costing us trillions of dollars. Why aren't we hiring more cops on the beat in these cities? Vast majority of the crime being committed is by American citizens and who are doing bad things. We need to get them off the street too. So let's hire more cops.
Well, I don't think anybody would object to the man who just killed that young woman in North Carolina being off the street. Karl, let me ask you about this, though. Listen to this from Harry Enton with regard to the president's polling numbers among Hispanic voters. Watch this.
2 key groups that were so important to getting Donald Trump a second term. He did so much better than the traditional Republican among those under the age of 30, and Hispanics. And Hispanics, he was 6 points underwater. Look at this, minus 34 points. That's a 28-point move since February. No wonder Donald Trump's in trouble.
Is that a problem politically for the president and his party, Karl?
Yes, we have seen a really interesting thing. There's growing support in the country, even among grassroots Democrats, on doing something about criminal illegals. On the other hand, there's growing support for the concept of immigration. People are using this controversy in order to say, let's go get the bad guys, but it is important to the future of America that we have immigration into our country, and particularly people who are going to be filling jobs that otherwise are going to be difficult to fill in construction and so forth. So there's two dynamics going on here. Why the Democrats don't simply say, look, you know what, we want to join in getting rid of the criminal illegals. Well, let's do 287G agreements between local and state law enforcement and federal law enforcement to achieve that. Why we have Illinois and California, for example, two of our biggest states, going the opposite direction and saying sanctuary states, not just sanctuary cities, is beyond me.
Yeah, it's a good point. It'll be interesting to see if Democrats can figure out how to politically make this a positive for them as well. And we will see. Tim Ryan, thank you very much. Karl Rove, good to have both of you with us. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
See you next time.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.